Good afternoon, Madam Chairman. Panel, thank you for having me here today. I have read and still believe the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. My name is Damion Yates, and my conviction in the United States Air Force was less than stellar. It is said that there is no perfect victim, and so I am not perfect. My married female coworker and I flirted often, and I can admit that I was flattered by the attention. I was a bodybuilder at the time and worked hard to look a certain way. She told me many times that bodybuilders were her type, and that her husband was jealous because he caught her looking at pictures of me online. She had sent me a Facebook friend request only to have her husband force her to unfriend me. She would later re-add me as a friend, which I told her I was hesitant to accept her, only for her to inform me that her and her husband want to break. We exchanged dozens of suggestive text messages, and this back and forth escalated to the point where she and I had made plans for her to stay at my home. I suggested we not tell many people she was staying at my place, as it might raise some eyebrows. She agreed and said if her husband asked, she would tell him she was staying with someone else. We were together for 5 days in which the affair happened. Her husband found out that we were together and he got angry. So angry that she then made the claim that I had assaulted her. She told her husband I had set her up and that I was not even supposed to be there. She asked him to just let it go, but he said that if she were truly assaulted, then she must press charges or she would tell her father what had happened. She decided to file charges against me. Her claim was that she was too drunk to consent. I voluntarily, against the wishes of my attorney, gave a 3-hour interview to OSI investigators to share what had taken place. During both the investigation and the Article 32, her claims against me were refuted by her own text messages and direct messages on Facebook. After the Article 32 judge determined that probable cause for the charge had not been met, he expanded his investigation to see if another they could charge another charge against me. In his summary, he stated that my accuser gave false or misleading statements, and she gave it multiple times. He noted the overly sexual atmosphere in the messages between me and my accuser. Lastly, he considered my written and oral statements to OSI, which he deemed to be just as credible, if not more credible, than my accuser. He recommended my case not go forward to court-martial. His recommendation was endorsed by my commanding officer, in writing by the 1-star general in my chain of command, in writing by the 2-star general in my chain of command, including his staff judge advocate, and finally, the 4-star general in my chain of command, who wrote that the 2-star general had acted appropriately. The 4-star then returned the charges to my 2-star for his dismissal. My charges were dismissed without prejudice. A number of months later, the 4-star general changed her mind without receiving any new evidence and decided to resurrect my case. Remember, this was after she had originally concurred with the findings of the lower generals. Who or what could change the mind of a 4-star general? That was less than stellar. Could this be unlawful command influence? I can't be certain. My trial was administered by a new command. The officer who charged me a second time, in 06, was stationed at a completely separate base from me, and my commanding officer was led to believe that he had to endorse the charge sheet despite his doubts about the case against me. Even though my commander testified on stand that he was simply a mouthpiece for what the 06 wanted, and that a JAG had told him it didn't matter what he put on the charge sheet, that I was going to court-martial regardless, the court decided that this was not unlawful command influence, and that my CEO acted on his own behalf. This was also less than stellar. We discovered hundreds of emails exchanged between an SJA, convening authorities, and Air Force trial judges. We only got access to a select few emails, and in one email, the SJA wrote the head trial judge of the U.S. Air Force and asked for help for finding a new judge in my case. The SJA wrote in the email that the reason for requesting a new judge was that my first Article 32 hearing was less than stellar. My first Article 32 judge argued in front of the federal courts and won victories for detainees at Guantanamo Bay. He had multiple guest speaking appearances at Harvard and other Ivy League schools and was quoted constantly by national media such as the New York Times and Wall Street Journal. He simply suggested that my case not go to court-martial based on the evidence. What could he have done that was less than stellar? After my second Article 32 recommended a court-martial, I was told by my defense counsel to choose a judge alone because I would more than likely face an all-white panel. The panel would simply see a big black man and a tiny white woman. This realization was less than stellar. The head trial judge chose his deputy to preside over my case. I was not allowed to present any of my OSI interview. It was all deemed hearsay or 412. I was told that a judge would see the merit in my argument and evidence, yet the head trial judge deputy found me guilty and I was sentenced to 3 years in prison, given a punitive charge and forced to register as a sex offender. This is also less than stellar. I'm currently unemployed in the state of Ohio where I live. They sent notices to all my neighbors saying that I was convicted of rape with force. That is not a charge that the Air Force had given me. I don't speak to my neighbors. I can't help my disabled mother. I can't even choose to live where I want because of lack of money and the fact that I'm a registered sex offender. My daughters have spent years without a father who cannot 100% be there. That is also less than stellar. My hope is that you recommend the Military Created Conviction Integrity Unit to reverse these convictions and restore what has been taken from us. I and many men like me have been suicidal, and the only hope that the American people learn from our stories is that they can advise their children about life in the military. And if your panel can help us, that would be something that is more than stellar. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.